Welcome back to the Hire Me podcast. My name is Chris Lynn, and today with me I have Ashley Marcinkus, an L&D professional. Let's jump right in to learn how Ashley can be your next great hire and professional connection. Welcome to the Hire Me podcast, Ashley, and tell us about yourself.
Thank you so much. Well, I'm Ashley Marcinkus. I'm a current third grade teacher living in Austin, Texas. I studied elementary education at a small liberal arts college called Augustana College. There, I participated in and held different leadership roles on student organizations. And now I'm seeking a new career path in which I can incorporate my passion for learning and collaborative problem solving while finding a more sustainable work life balance.
I love that. Absolutely love that. And the fact that you're coming from academia and teaching and shifting into adult learning is absolutely fascinating. So what type of role are you looking for in that realm?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking for a role within a learning and development team. I'd love to join a team that's already been developed so that I can soak up as much information in the new industry as possible. So I want to continue to help individuals reach their goals and develop their skills, whether that be in a coordinator, facilitator, or even a corporate training position. I know that these roles are highly desired right now, so I am also considering HR coordinator positions or even customer success. And ultimately, I want to help people be successful in their careers or with the company's product or program.
That's fantastic. And what is it about L&D and shifting from maybe child learning to adult learning that really fascinates you and makes you appreciate this type of work?
Yeah, I think, well, I always really appreciate a challenge. And I know that sometimes engaging students of any age can be a challenge, especially people who may have been outside of the classroom for a while. So engaging adults in learning and showing them that they can still grow and develop themselves, even if they've been in a career for a while, is a really exciting challenge and a really exciting aspect of learning and development. And also getting to learn about a new industry as well. I have been in the classroom for 3 years. I've worked my entire life to do that. And so embracing something new and growing alongside the employees will be a really cool aspect too.
Yeah, absolutely. As a talent professional myself, I can tell you and speak from experience that watching individual adults like that light bulb go off is
Yes.
incredible. Yeah, for sure. Going into an L&D position, based on what you've experienced before in under different leadership and under different working cultures, what are those leadership styles and cultures that you found that you can do your best work?
Yeah, I definitely thrive in structured and supportive settings. I like knowing what's expected of me and having that very clear, open communication. I also appreciate when leaders get to know me as an individual as well as the professional side, letting me be a little goofy and share things that I'm interested in, and also expressing my professional goals and where I want to end up in my career. So having that support and feeling trusted to do my job, while also feeling comfortable to ask for help. I mean, this is a new jump. It's an exciting path, but I'm not going to know everything right away. So I'm willing to ask those questions, seek that advice to feel best supported and prepared for the new role. And then in
That's
terms of the culture, I'm looking for a culture in which they prioritize that work-life balance. It doesn't really exist in teaching, and so I'm excited to be able to, enjoy more family friend time as well as hobbies like rowing. So I'm excited for that component as well.
that's wonderful and great to hear that, you know, wanting that collaborative, structured environment and leadership is very key. And I think, especially for someone in your role where you're looking to grow, is absolutely necessary and something that you'll definitely be able to find. So, we'll definitely try and get you that next role
Yes,
for
I hope
sure.
so.
Yeah. So, as you're having conversations with hiring managers and recruiters, very often they're gonna, try to assess your skills and your experience so far.
Mhm.
So if they were to ask what problem you could solve for them or their organization, what would you tell them?
Yeah. So one of my best skills, I guess you can say, is identifying knowledge gaps, seeing where there are weaknesses or things that can be improved, and then not only recognizing them, but being able to fix them. So, for example, last year we were doing what's called interim tests. They're practice star standardized tests, preparing those fourth graders for really big, scary things at the end of the year. But also, it gave us a lot of information about where students are and where they still need that extra support, or maybe they didn't understand it the first time. So, after they took those tests, we had ample points of data, both on a whole class scale, so I could look at patterns of strengths and patterns of weaknesses within all 30 individuals, but also I could cater it to the specific individual, what they needed help on, and how I can support them to feel confident the day of. So, with that data, then I planned and used different intervention tools, retaught, created tutoring sessions, and ultimately, my students passed. There were 75% of them who passed or mastered the test because I was able to pinpoint those exact things that they needed support on and was able to help them get that support. So I'd say learning gaps and then filling those gaps, which is the key.
Yeah, identifying not only identifying the gaps themselves, but identifying and building plans for each individual that's highly tailored and structured to what they need and what their personalized gaps are is so critical. And I think that that's fantastic and a great skill set that you can bring to your next organization.
Why, thank you.
So ultimately, as we wrap up here, what really at the end of the day matters to you?
I'd say ultimately there's three things. One, being curious and being a lifelong learner. If I'm going to instill that professional development for adults, I also want to model that myself. I want to show them that I'm engaged in learning as well. I'm doing my own research. I'm reading books that are helping me grow as a professional, just like I want them to do for themselves. So, right now, I'm reading a book called The Defining Decade, which is all about making the most of your 20s and how the decisions you make in your 20s ultimately impact the rest of your life. And it can be in a great, fantastic way or a not so fantastic way. And so I'm using that to make the best decisions I can when it comes to career, relationships, anything like that. So modeling that curiosity, always asking questions and being open to new learning. And then integrity. I am really value knowing that I'm going to be giving my best effort in everything I'm doing. I'm giving my honest judgment, my honest opinions, and really trying to do the best for my company as well as my colleagues. And I always believe in the C.S. Lewis quote that integrity is doing the right thing even when no one's watching. And I constantly have to remind my students of that, which is always a friendly reminder to me that you want to do the best thing even if no one's watching you, because ultimately you're holding yourself accountable in that way. And then lastly, that perseverance piece of when there are challenges, which is always to be expected, going in with a flexibility and a growth mindset, knowing we might not be there yet, but we're going to get there. And we can get there together, we can get there individually, whatever the challenge is or the solution orients. Um, for example, when I was teaching my first year, it was in the height of the pandemic. So it was the 2021, 20 or 2020, 2021 school year. So it was chaotic to say the least. At one point, I was teaching a hybrid class. So I had in person students and then virtual students at the same time. And originally, I just had set my laptop up and was trying to have it face me at the board. And they kind of could hear me, they kind of could see me. And I just knew it was not the best way. But I also knew that my instructional coach had this robot called a swivel where it was meant to observe teachers. So you put an iPad on it and it literally swivels to follow you around the room with a hooked up microphone. So I incorporated the swivel in Zoom so that they could see and hear me the whole time. And it just was a much more engaging way and persevered through that challenge.
I love that, especially knowing that. I mean, 2020 was just such a mess for so many people, but
Yeah.
especially for like teachers and nurses, like you all did such great work. And for that to be your first experience in the
Yeah.
workforce, like just really shows that dedication and perseverance that that you really care about. Well, Ashley, thank you so much again for coming on the Hire Me podcast. It was great to learn more about you, your skills, and what you're ultimately looking for. And what value you can bring into your next role. If you're watching or listening to this interview, make sure you connect with Ashley through the links in the description and show notes below. Make sure you're subscribing, following, and liking all of our content here on the Hire Me podcast so we can continue elevating more of today's top talents. Take care.